Muppet Vision 3D.
Jim Henson's Muppet Vision 3D. Get a taste for unique fun that bubbles over with excitement. It's a sensation that will blow you away and shower you with humor.
Muppets away!
For the finest in wildly wacky, explosive entertainment, Jim Henson's Muppet Vision 3D. We surrender! We surrender! Only at the Disney MGM Studios theme park. Starring moi!
Most people go to the Disney parks for their amazing attractions and rides. However, whenever you want to escape the hot summer sun on these theme park days, you know, a good place to go is just to one of these shows that Disney kind of has scattered around the theme parks. Whether it may be at a theater with the Muppets or at some kind of laugh floor with Mike Wazowski, you know, these shows do kind of offer something to the park and are sort of a staple of, you know, the park itself. However, in recent years, we've noticed a lot of rumors on these attractions, you know, about to close down, and some of them even are closing down really, really soon. So in today's video, we will be discussing on why exactly these attractions are closing down, and, you know, what maybe Disney can do to improve them so that way they won't. Now, as you probably guessed from the commercial that we showed at the beginning of the video, these attractions are very, very old. The youngest one that we even have here on this list is from 2007, which is pretty old for a attraction length, I guess, in their years, especially a show. So with old age, of course, comes them being very, very outdated. Specifically here, we have the Muppets 3D attraction, a beloved attraction in Hollywood studios. However, that is not stopping the fact that this attraction is nonetheless outdated. Now, I'm sure at the time, the CG effects and the, you know, goofy little 3D things going on here were pretty cool for some families and audiences. However, nowadays 3D is kind of a thing of the past, really. We don't really use 3D all that much anymore for stuff like that, and sure, it can be kind of cool, but after a while it just kind of becomes the same old thing. In fact, the concept of 3D alone is just a very, very outdated thing in general. The only thing really saving this attraction as a whole is the fact that the Muppets are a very fan favorite among a lot of Disney Park fans, and the fact that it does have some kind of funny sequences and a good bit of audio animatronics and even a live actor that comes out on stage, which is actually pretty cool in my opinion. We don't really see that many live actors for these shows, so the fact that we actually do see one in a really cool Muppets costume is very nice. But that still, in my opinion, won't really save how just kind of outdated and somewhat boring this show could be. Really, the only main purpose of it is to kind of get away from the sun, which of course is what a lot of us want to do, and yeah, it does a good job at that. You know, you're in this air-conditioned building watching a Muppet show, who wouldn't like that? But at the end of the day, it just, I don't know, I feel like it can definitely be updated. I really hope they don't close this attraction because I really do like the Muppets. I know a lot of other people do as well, but they can just do something a little bit more, in my opinion, with this. However, I don't really know. I can definitely see them closing this one down. Now this one, I hate this one. I really do hate this one. This is the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor in the Magic Kingdom. I despise this show. I cannot express that enough. You walk in here, you are taking a risk at literally your entire life. You will be humiliated if you are put on the big screens here. They have no mercy with this show. If you were put on the screens, you have no choice but to go along with the show. You will become a part of the show, and it is not a good thing. Basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you are put into this sort of laugh floor in the Monsters, Inc. universe, and you're basically kind of being held there until the laugh container sort of fills up. Now that I'm thinking about this, you're sort of becoming a prisoner to Mike Wazowski until his container fills up with your laugh juices, which is kind of thinking about that is kind of a very dark concept. Anyways, my main problem with this show is not the fact that it's outdated, because it is actually the newest one, and there is some cool elements about it. It's just the fact that it's very awkward, and I feel like a lot of people really don't want to be picked, making this somewhat of an unpopular show generally. And a lot of people, you know, kind of do have some sort of stress about talking and saying silly things in a microphone in front of a bunch of strangers that you've never met in your life before, as you can see right here. And sure that these kids look happy and stuff like that, but deep down they are probably regretting everything. So basically my main problem with this show in particular is the fact that it's kind of, you know, it truly is risky. You actually might embarrass yourself if you don't like doing this stuff, and it kind of overall just makes the experience a bit more stressful than what most, I feel like, guests would enjoy or like. And just in general, the show itself is very lackluster. There's really not a whole bunch of stuff that goes on with it. There's a bunch of random characters that aren't even seen in the film. I have no clue who these characters are besides Mike Wazowski. And just overall, it's very just kind of boring. Now, can I see this one shutting down? Honestly, yeah, I could, and I really, really wanted to, because I hate this show so much. but I do know a lot of people do like it, so it could stay. Now this is a show right here that is probably going to go down soon. This is the Country Bear Jamboree, a show that opened in 1971, practically a opening day attraction for the Walt Disney World theme park. And, you know, a lot of people really don't like this show just because of how creepy the animatronic bears are, which I guess could just be because of their old age, really, but I kind of find them kind of charming in some ways. However, I can definitely see what people mean. These things look like they're hillbillies in the middle of a forest, you know, next to a closed-down mountain, smoking some kind of drug, who knows. And you want my theory on this? I feel like these people are, at least half of them, are criminally charged people running away from the law. You can just see it in their faces. They have to be intoxicated with some kind of drug. I mean, they just look so droopy looking, and I feel like that just adds so much to it. But yeah, this family is definitely running from the law in some way, for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they murdered anyone, but you know what? You want to know my true theory about this? They are a family that is running from the law, and they opened up this little rinky-dink show in the middle of Frontierland, and we're paying for the tickets, we're buying their drugs for them. They are the true villains of the Disney parks, okay? Forget Maleficent, forget the Evil Queen. You know, these are the true threats. The Country Bear Jamboree, we should be afraid of them. In all seriousness, though, this show really isn't too bad. If you like audio animatronics like I do, you love this show and just kind of love seeing these things, especially because they're really hard to find nowadays, just audio animatronics like this. So it kind of does have a very classic feel to it. However, for anybody else, this show is probably going to be very awkward, especially if you don't really like to get into it, I guess. A lot of the times this show reminds me of the scene from the Goofy movie where Goofy takes Max into this like very run-down animatronic show. I'm pretty sure this is like a one-for-one exactly where they got it from, making fun of their own show, Disney. Wow, that's kind of a risky move there, but it's so funny and so accurate. Which is just one of the examples on how this show is kind of made fun of in some ways, because there's even a movie about it that is made fun of. I'm not even going to talk about the movie, okay? You'll know what I mean if you look it up. But, you know, there's just a lot about this attraction that's kind of been big in just culture of theme parks and animatronics overall. So I do feel like there's a good bit of history behind this attraction. However, I just don't feel like it's up to code with what Disney does nowadays for them to actually keep it. Kind of suffers the same pain as Muppet Vision 3D. It's just very outdated, and even the quality of some of the things in this show aren't very good. I remember whenever I went, I was sitting in like the back row, which I get it's the back row, but I couldn't hear a single thing they were saying. I don't know if the bears were drunk or if it's just the bad quality of the speakers, but I could not hear a single thing they were saying. It was like every other 5 seconds I might catch one little word. I couldn't hear a thing. So Disney, please, if you are going to keep this thing, at least update the speakers a little bit so that way, you know, these bears don't appear to be more drunk than they already seem. And now lastly, we do have a show that actually did close down in one of the parks, along with Country Bear Jamboree, this one being It's Tough to Be a Bug in Animal Kingdom. Now this show closed down in California Adventure to be transformed into Avengers Campus, which was really kind of a downgrade in my opinion, because this show, out of all the shows that we're talking about here in this video, is actually pretty good. This show features everything that I feel like a good show should. It has a screen that's 3D, it features fog elements, it features like seat things where like you'll like feel something in your seat, which is really cool. It has a lot of animatronics in it that are very impressive. Overall, it's a really good show, and I really can't find much problems with it, to be honest. The only problem that I think I might have with it is the fact that it's kind of hidden away from the rest of Animal Kingdom, but the show has some really cool elements about it, in particular the very famous Hopper animatronic. This thing is huge, it's massive, and it moves very smoothly and just lifelike. And just overall, it's a really cool animatronic. And it's definitely the star of the show. The fact that it mixes in screens and animatronics together just really brings it to life overall. Absolutely love the special effects that are used in this show. It's just the fog effect that's used whenever the bug spray kind of comes in. That's such a cool and neat little detail. I wasn't even thinking that they were going to do the first time around. And especially the spider scene whenever all these black widows start coming down at you and you start feeling it like in your seat. It's just such a cool and scary scene that actually made a lot of people cry in the theater and just scream, and it's honestly just hilarious to see everybody's reaction to this. Now, what is this show missing exactly? Honestly, nothing. I can't really think of anything wrong with the show. It's a fun show. It's, you know, not the longest, but it definitely does give you enough time to sort of take a break from the sun, and it just gives you such a cool experience overall. And honestly, I feel like out of all the shows on this list, this one is going to be the one that's here to stay, at least for the longest time, mainly because it's the one that definitely does not feel like the most outdated out of all of them. It has everything that you want a good show to have. It has animatronics, special effects, good screens, good animation, especially Muppet Vision. And just overall, it's a solid show. I wanted to add this on here just because if they do decide to make any more shows, this is what it should strive to be. If they don't want shows to be sort of dead anymore, this is how they need to be, for sure. Not, you know, kind of corny shows that they don't really spend much time on keeping maintenance. With that being said, though, it kind of seems that this show sort of does, you know, fall under that umbrella of Disney really not wanting to, you know, pay much attention to the maintenance of the shows anymore. The Hopper animatronic is constantly down, I've noticed, and just in general, the ride itself seems to be closed a decent bit of the time. Now, of course, this could just be because Disney just doesn't care simply anymore about this. It's not really like a big e-ticket attraction, and I feel like that's another reason on why these shows are kind of dying down. They're just not that impressive anymore. They're basically long pre-shows. Even though they're enjoyable, they're just not worth the time that, you know, a lot of people give to these shows. These shows are a whole like 20-30 minutes that you could be giving away to, you know, waiting in line for a big e-ticket attraction like, I don't know, Rise of the Resistance, Tower of Terror, something like that. You know, instead that you're saving it here. And even though I do find some of these shows, you know, kind of charming, I do kind of have to sort of agree with that. You know, I would much rather spend my time, you know, waiting for a good attraction versus sort of being in this, you know, kind of somewhat cheesy attraction. But I wanted to leave it to you guys. What do you think of the state of these Disney shows? Do you think that they are truly dying out? And tell me in the comments which one you think is going to go first, if any of these are going to leave. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.